What's going on, everybody? How are y'all doing today? Steve Foster here.
Christopher Sapp. What
And
up?
we are the Mental Health Boys.
The Mental Health Boys.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
How you feeling, man? Clap it up. Clap
Come
it up.
on.
Clap it up. Listen, you know what?
Woo.
Listen, can we very brief? How did you feel about All-Star?
All-Star Weekend? I mean, I could always give the cliche answer.
Nah, we don't like cliche.
I mean, when you shoot from half court in an All-Star game at the logo, I mean, you deserve all the props. You know what I'm saying, on your own home logo at that. I gotta, man, big ups to my guy, man, Steph Curry, man. I get up to Steph Curry.
Gotta give it up to Steph, man. Hey, also big up to the youngin' Mac McClung, 3-time slam dunk contest. I ain't gonna lie, he probably still ain't gonna make no roster, but hey look, man.
Hey, when you can dunk like that over cars,
hey, you don't gotta make a roster.
Hey,
make 11 off a dunking, boy.
Hey, I love it. I actually liked his dunks. Yeah. I actually sat there and like kind of dissected them from angles. And I was like, man, that's actually pretty dope and creative.
I like that they were trying to change things about this, but I think they got a lot of work to do, man.
Oh, really?
I think they got a lot of work to do.
What you talking about, Willis?
I feel like the All-Star game doesn't have the same. It just don't have that same pop that it used to have.
Okay.
I don't get excited about it like I used to, man.
Oh man.
It looks like the players, they don't have the energy because it feel like they may be look like they might be maybe burnt out from earlier in the season.
Burnt out
a little bit. Like I heard a couple guys talking about, they were tired, they needed to use that All-Star break for rest.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes when you put yourself through all these vigorous, is that vigorous? Vigorous?
Yeah.
One of that vigorous and rigorous.
Yeah.
All them igorous's. When you put yourself through that type of like physical and emotional stress, man, burnout is a possibility.
It is very much a possibility.
Wait a minute. What are we talking about today? What are we talking about today, Willis?
Other than Willis?
Other than what?
In the NBA?
In the NBA.
We are talking about one thing that is really difficult to address. Is talking about it is one thing. Doing it is another. Yeah. And that's burnout. As we call in our field, we call it passion fatigue. And
we ain't talking about burnout the old PlayStation game. But
no.
We ain't gonna throw back on.
Did you know this, Mr. Sapp?
Yes.
Did you know that when you are a rapper on a major record label, that there is a quota because record labels cost money, right, to build and to keep going, right?
Yeah.
So there has to be a quota for not just sales, but albums that you put out. Could you imagine some of these guys, just going and, spitting and, record label is, all right, you done like 5 or 6 tours. You got to get in the studio in between those tours.
Yeah. And not only that, think about the guys who have already like popped a little bit, like say they had one hot album and then everybody's expecting you to put out something better.
Yeah.
Nobody ever expects less from the rookie.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They expect you to do better. And that goes for sports. That goes for music.
Okay.
That goes for life.
Oh, it goes for life?
I think so.
I think so too.
So, we like to start out. I like to start out with a little fact, man.
Come on, give us some facts, brother. Come on.
Before we jump into burnout, let me just give you guys a quick couple facts.
Actual facts.
In 2019, a study showed that burnout classified burnout as an occupational phenomenon in the International Classification of Disease, defining it as a syndrome resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. This means burnout isn't just feeling tired. It's actually a real psychological state with serious health consequences. And secondly, now this is the one that really shocked. Research using MRI scans showed that chronic stress and burnout can lead to a reduction in gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for decision-making, emotional regulation, and self-control. Essentially, prolonged burnout can physically alter the brain, making it harder to concentrate, control emotions, and recover from stress.
Wow.
Yeah, that was an interesting.
That's pretty deep, man.
That's
pretty deep.
I think it's important to let, and we're gonna get into what burnout is, what kind of impacts it can have on you, and how to stop it, man. But I really just wanted to stop for a minute and just point out that fact and how a lot of things in life lead to like this cycle that's so hard to break, because it's like, okay, I gotta work hard to get this money and do this and do that, and then you burn out. And then I've seen so many people deal with burnout in so many different ways. Let me back up. Have you been burnt out? I think I know the answer to that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, in this field, you can really, in the field, of course, is for those that are new to our podcast, we work in the mental health field. And we deal with people on the day-to-day basis. I really didn't understand what busy really meant until I started my own company. Typically, when you say that you're busy doing things, you can kind of, carve out a day. But when you really technically, the only peace of mind you have is when you're in the bathroom. That is a day. And then when you sit down after your son, for me, my son sits down, he sleep, and I sit down and it's like 8:30. It is my first time breathing, and getting my own air.
And even thinking about thoughts that you want to think about, right?
Yeah. It's like being able to process the day. So those type of days consistently happening leads to what we would eventually call burnout. You asked me a question, right?
Yes, sir.
And that question was, have I ever experienced it?
Yeah.
So I could say yes, and I could just stop right there if you want me to answer your question.
Absolutely.
You want to stop there?
But I don't. You know I don't want you to stop. Keep going.
Are you sure you want me to keep going? You sure?
Keep going.
Okay. All right. So are you really sure?
Keep going.
Okay. So here we go. When you burn out.
So like I need to drop a beat for it. No,
you notice your voice changes a little bit. And all of a sudden, instead of having this nice whisper of a voice like Keith Sweat, you talk a little loud and stern. And you're not really going. Keep it going, brother. Keep it going. Because you don't feel like I do. I just don't know what to do. And I know I gotta be strong, but you did me wrong, life. And I don't know what to do.
Keith Sweat. Shout out to the boy Keith Sweat.
Yes. Thank you, Keith Sweat, for the voice. But you really have no options. And you go to your go-to. Your go-to by default says this: I have too much stress going on. There's too much demands on me. So this is what I'm going to do. Whatever that looks like for you is what it looks like. And guess what? That person that's in front of you, the recipient of your burnout, is going to hear what's on your mind and what's on your heart.
Yep.
And unfortunately for them, they are the ones that have to deal with you and your experience of a burnout.
Yeah.
And it can look so freaking ugly.
Yeah. And I think burnout, and first of all, thank you for sharing. And before we continue, if you guys in the comments can let us know what burnout looks like to y'all, what have you experienced when you've gotten to that point that you consider burnout? And I want to kind of elaborate on something, because I think you made a great point. If you don't mind, I wanted to piggyback.
Sure, go for it, my brother.
And I always say this during our late night share talk.
Yes, sir.
I might just be rambling, but I might be spitting a little bit when I say it.
Come on.
I might be. To me, burnout is like a more evolved version of stress. You know what I'm saying? It's a more prolonged. It's almost like to me it feels stacked, because to me stress, I don't want to say stress feels temporary, but stress feels more manageable than burnout. Because for me, burnout is almost where I feel like, I don't want to say I am going to give up. As you can see, I'm still here. But to me, burnout is almost the beginning stages of hitting that wall of, can I continue? Do I want to continue with where I'm at? I think it's why people oftentimes they burn out, and you're an owner, but you've also been on the other side too. Yeah. And I'm sure you've seen on both ends of it, people that burn out and then they just shut down. They isolate. They stop turning in work. Clients call and say, hey, I haven't seen someone, so I just want to make sure they're okay. That's a very serious and unfortunately very common response to burnout sometimes.
It is.
It's not healthy.
Nope.
But it's common, and it's understandable.
It is because of demand. Let's take ourselves out, right? And let's maybe put like nursing. Okay, let's remember COVID when it first started. You know how it was just like they were just briefcasing and everything. They were leaving to go work at this place and that place, especially like New York. And it's the demand, because I'm gonna use a word that Mr. Sapp, or I'm gonna use a phrase that Mr. Sapp does a lot. He puts two words together. Chronic stress.
Come on.
So burnout is basically chronic stress, because of course, chronic stress is a prolonged state of mental and physical strain caused by ongoing ongoing stress.
It is.
So it's just consistent, and it does the very thing that you provided in the actual factuals. You know, you can't really put anything else anywhere else, not even mentally, because right now everything in you is like, you know what, we're done. We gotta do something about this, because you know we gotta take a vacation, because we can't take anything else. No more stimulus. So just want to piggyback on
absolutely. No, that's a great point, man. If you don't mind, I think, especially since we've already kind of talked about if burnout is the finish line, let's talk about what leads to this finish line. So a few things that can cause burnout. So when we talk about workplace factors, we're looking at high demands, low control.
Yep.
That's a big one. And a lot of times when I hear people talk about this, especially some of the, people that I worked with in the past, and it's that lack of control.
Come on.
It's something that we don't realize how much we take for granted until we put in a situation where you don't have control anymore. That if you tell me you need this 300-page report, by the end of the week, and you're just not budget. Like, I feel that anxiety, that lack of control, the fact that, like you said, there's a high demand with little control over what I can do to meet that demand.
Got it.
That lack of recognition, feeling underappreciated, undervalued. And just real quick, if we can give a shout out to Mr. Foster, I want to say I think this is something that you do amazing. You always take time to stop and say, hey, how can I show my appreciation for the people that are working for me? How can I? Sometimes we'll be in the middle of talking, and you'll say, like, we're not gonna say names. I say Donald Duck for the sake of the.
Okay, Donald Duck.
We could be in the middle of talking about sports, and you'd be like, yo, Donald Duck been really killing it. We need to show, like, next meeting we need to show him some appreciation. Let's give him a gift card or something. That's big, and I wanted to tell you, we collectively we appreciate you for that.
Oh, I appreciate that,
and it helps to decrease burnout. And toxic work culture and emotional labor. Have you experienced any of those within your own work? Now, granted, knowing that you own the company now, obviously you're on a different side of it, but I know you have a ton of work experience where you're not in that capacity.
Sure.
Have you dealt with any of those in different work environments?
Sure. Well, I can say this: a toxic work environment is an incubator for stress.
So can you repeat that?
A toxic environment is an incubator for stress. It really is, because not only do you feel like you're not being recognized, but it's like you're fighting at the same time. And you could be, because if you don't really like vibe with your manager or whoever, you might find yourself really pushing all of that energy on another person, unless you're going to the gym right after and you're killing it there. But just that by itself, it could burn you out. Yeah. You don't do anything passionately, even if you have a passion to do what you're doing. Even if you have a passion to make money. Yeah. I had to say that. It really takes all of your motivation away. It sucks you dry. Yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Foster, but it's not just the workplace sometimes.
Oh, no.
And we look at lifestyle factors that contribute to burnout. Perfectionism, lack of boundaries, digital overload,
lack of boundaries,
poor self-care.
I
think it's important to touch on both aspects of it, because a lot of times when we think about burnout, we automatically think about work. But it's burnout can happen in a variety.
It can happen in a marriage.
Yep. Yes, it can.
I said it.
And
I said it.
He said, not yo. Oh, he said, I don't want no smoke, bro.
I said it.
But no, I think any relationship.
Yes.
Any relationship could lead to burnout, because one thing, and this is something that you always say, man, life is about balance.
It is.
And it's balance in every form of relationship, everything you do. If, even with us being friends, if you're demanding more from me, or like if I'm willing to give more than you're willing to give, or say, like, for example, a perfect example is the lack of boundaries. If you call me every night at 11:30, you like, yo, Chris, I'm drunk, man. I need a ride home again. And it's like every night, and I continue to do, and it becomes stressful, because now I'm like, okay, I'm leaving my family, go pick this dude up, he's throwing up in my car, he's doing all that. But then it's like, I continue to do it, because oftentimes we feel obligated to do things for people that we consider friends, or that we consider partners, or that we love, or whatever your relationship is. But when you don't have those boundaries, when you don't put those boundaries in place.
Yeah. Bro, when you say lack of boundaries, it's just like an echo in my head.
Yeah. Boundaries.
Because that's the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is us.
Yeah.
And trying to identify the things that we need to communicate. Hey, yo, no more. Yeah. I'm done. I don't want no more of this. I'm actually like, no. So it's okay to be that way.
Yeah.
It's okay for people to be mad at you.
Yeah.
Did you know that? It's okay for people to say things about you. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to be honest, and you know, we've talked about this. Like I said, when I met you, I was in a place where I was still doing some kind of administrative stuff, but I wasn't in a position where I had to tell people like, no, you can't do that, or no, that's wrong, or no. And it is a transition for people that aren't used to being that person, to being the person that has to put their foot down and say like, hey, you know, they might be mad, they might not be mad, but I have to do what I have to do. It's very hard not to move, especially when you're an empathetic person or have you ever heard people use the word non-confrontational, and they say it in a negative way, but I don't think it's a negative. I think it's just, I hate when people say like, oh, you know, he's non-confrontational, or, you know, that person's soft. Or something like that. A lot of times, non-confrontational people aren't confrontational because I was talking to somebody about that, and they said that sometimes the confrontation to them is more stressful or leads to more burnout than not. But once again, not saying that is a acceptable way to respond, because sometimes you have to be confrontational.
Yes, you do.
In life.
Yes.
But I also do understand where some people come from when the term non-confrontational is used, especially if it's not something that they feel like is that serious or something that's worth discussing. But as we stated before, sometimes it is necessary to be confrontational, because especially if you know some of your boundaries are being crossed, and it's blatant and it's consistent and it's constant, and you can tell the person just does not have any regard. At some point, if you don't become confrontational and hold your boundaries down, it does lead to that burnout that we talk about.
It does. It does. And so we talked about boundaries. Once again, you're the person in charge. You have to communicate your boundaries, and it can be hard to do that, especially if you're just letting it go. Yeah. And you're, this is how I feel, and you're just sharing how you feel because you're the one that's experiencing burnout. Yeah. You know, to everybody else, it looks like, oh, there they go again. And everybody just kind of gets out of the way because it's like a tornado or something like that. Yeah. So, but if you're communicating, hey, look, I just need a breather. Yeah. And hey, look, I got to take a walk, or
that communication word.
Come on, brother. Again, come on, man. Come on.
Talking about communication.
Communication is important. Yeah,
definitely, man.
Look, you know, I got to take a nap.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
you know,
instead of walking around just being rude and mean to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it can get there. I think we've all been at a point where we're just so frustrated that, not saying you walking around, I mean, you're not walking around knocking people. Like, you're not walking around the job like, yeah, for you.
The way.
Yeah, for you. Down, right hook for you. No, but sometimes it does kind of come off, and you'll go home, or I'll go home, and you'll be like, I maybe could have responded a little. But I think because it can lead to that, I think it's a good idea to talk about, what do you start to see when you're getting to that beginning stage of, because like I said, we there's always a point before you get to the destination. There's always
is. Did you know it takes longer to get to Tokyo than it does to get to, let's say, Wisconsin on a plane?
Really?
Yeah. So if it takes longer, that means there has to be more gas in it, right? Or maybe a bigger plane too, right? Oh, so now we're talking about different variations.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean, if you try to mimic what Mr. Sapp does in his day-to-day routine, some might fall flat on their face. Yeah. Some might say, "Oh, that was a gym workout." You know, everybody's different. Everybody has. It was a show back in the day. It was different folks, different strokes, whatever.
Different strokes, different strokes,
different folks.
Oh, what's different? I think it was just called Different Strokes.
Different Strokes.
But I know what you're saying. But yeah, different strokes for different folks. Everybody responds differently.
Yeah.
Some of the common emotional signs that you could be on the way to burnout: feeling emotionally drained. Yep. Decreased motivation and enjoyment in tasks you once liked. Yep. You know, me and you talked about that, and I told you at one point I was getting there where I was like, bro, I ain't watching my shows like I watch. I ain't been watching the football games, the basketball games. So that's a big one. Increased irritability, frustration. We just talked about that.
Yes, we did.
And feeling ineffective, helpless, or stuck. Physical signs.
Wow.
Chronic fatigue.
Yep.
Digestive issues.
Come on.
We don't want to talk about that. But it happens.
Nope, it does.
It's insomnia.
Ooh.
Disturbed sleep patterns.
Yep.
And frequent sicknesses due to weakened immune systems.
That's right.
And I remember you mentioned that. I remember it was one time I got sick, and I was walking. I ain't gonna lie, I was walking around the office. I'm like, here you go to report. Here you go. And I remember you jokingly said it, but you weren't joking. You was just like, boy, you better chill with all that stress, man. That's what and that's a real thing.
It is.
That's a real thing, man.
It is a real thing, like you said. What else you got as far as like symptoms?
Another one is trouble concentrating, forgetfulness, increased mistakes, and withdrawal from colleagues, family, and friends. See, I'm not gonna sit here and even lie to you. You know, because of our conversations, I've dealt with almost all of those at some point. And we've talked about it to a certain extent. I think what happens oftentimes is that our pride comes into play.
Yeah.
We both talked about this where it's like, we'll be talking on the phone and it's like, yo, I got a day, boy, tomorrow. I got to do this at 8, this at 9, this at 9:30, 10, 11, 12, this, that, dirt. And then you got to go home. You got to pick up your son, play with your son, talk to your wife. And it's just like, when you do that,
perfect moments for the biocharger.
Biocharger.
We'll be right back, y'all. We're going to the biocharger. We'll be back in about 10 minutes.
We are back. I feel charged up.
Yes.
I feel charged
up. The biocharger has so many recipes on it, man.
What do you think they would be mad if I did the remainder of the... No.
The 5-hour energy booster. Booster power. Boost it.
Y'all gotta check out that biocharger, man. Seriously. Steve made a believer out of me. I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't a believer. I'm a believer now, but...
Since we're talking about the biocharger real quick. So this is where neurofeedback would actually be helpful too. You know, with mental being exhausted mentally. Exhaustion?
Exhaustion. I mean, I like that. No, come on. I like that. I like that word. I like that. We gonna roll with that. Roll with that.
Exhaustion. Are you experiencing any exhaustion in your body?
Side effects, maybe. Exhaustion.
So for the neurofeedback, it actually helps with that too. And I actually, and if you don't mind me sharing, I remember when Mr. Sapp was like, it seemed like he was experiencing burnout, and I was like, dude, let's do a session with the neurofeedback. He said, bro, I went to bed, and I'll stop and let him finish telling the story because it's your story.
Man, no, it's a very short story. I left and he kept saying like, man, you gonna go home and get some rest. And it just so happened that I was in a position where I could I rearranged some stuff and I, asked some people if they minded me seeing them, the following day. I went home, I was like, man, I'm gonna sit down for a quarter. Gone.
Yes, sir.
And needed every minute of it. And like I said, I think one of the biggest ones was the lack of sleep. And I remember we talked about it because I came in your office and I was telling you, I was like, I'm having insomnia where I'm sitting up till 3, 4 o'clock. I'm not even looking at,
But there's reasons why.
There is.
It's because you're putting high demand on yourself.
Exactly. Right? And then anxiety. And and if you guys have been listening to all the episodes, which you should, you would already know that I did deal with some anxiety issues and I did end up getting something. As we stated, there are natural things you can do to help you, but as Mr. Foster stated in the previous podcast, we're never going to tell you to go against your medication management provider. And it was one of those situations where I felt like it would benefit me, and it did. It helped me a lot. But I had to know and I had to acknowledge it, and I had to be willing to say like, yo, like I gotta take a step back and look at this and see what I can do different.
I didn't run my 10 miles.
Oh!
I'm going to be honest. I ate my goal. I didn't reach my goal from last week.
It's all good though.
But I did 4. Yeah. I almost did 5. I did 4.
I ain't do 10. So, but our challenge, and like I said, I had the picture, sent you the picture. I've been in the gym now, and a lot of it is because of, one, I've been trying to find things that I enjoy.
Okay.
That was a big thing that I was struggling with before. And 2, sometimes, guys, friendly challenges are fun. Yes, if you have friends that you can have, like not those type of challenges where they're malicious, like it's like, man, I'm better than you in every this ain't no anime. That sounds like something. I'm better than you in every way. I'll show you through these challenges.
That sound like Vegeta and Goku.
I'm better than you. Kakarot.
I might get stronger and I go Super Saiyan. He wants to go another Super Saiyan, and he's all goofy. Yeah. I did it easy.
But when you have. But when you have those friendly competitions, like we'll text each other, like I'll text a picture, be like, yo, I'm in the gym, what you doing?
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Or he'll text me a picture of the time on the bike, like, hey man, just did like what you out here doing? Ooh. I'm out here getting these miles in. Those are good to have because it's motivation. Yes. And it's friendly competition is a good thing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because it pushes you.
Yeah, it does. It does.
And it's hard to sometimes have the internal push. I try to have the internal push, but sometimes it hits a little harder when you like, man, Chris, have you even done 1 mile? I already did 10, and I'm just like, I want to share him. I'm like, man, I dare him. Call up. lack of miles. But it's fun. It's fun for me, man.
It is.
So I appreciate that. But
you like that with bowling too.
Oh man, don't be telling people about my bowling competitiveness, man. I be look, Stevie out here like, man, we're having a good old time. I be like, yeah, but I won 4 games, you won 3.
Yeah.
He be like,
That's him all over.
he be like, we were just playing for fun. And I'd be like, okay, and for fun, I won 4 games and you won 3. But no, I mean that's just how we do. What's another? So that's one way to, and I guess that's a good segue into how to prevent or recover from burnout. I think,
man, recovering from burnout.
That's a tough one.
I mean, you could recover or prevent. Okay, now we're talking about recovering.
It says prevent, and they can be separate sections. I mean, separate sections because they are 2 different things.
Yeah, because you got a corrective.
Yeah,
and then you got a preventative. So that's what I'm kind of looking at.
Come on.
We kind of went through like
we went through what it looks like, how to identify it.
Yeah.
But and I guess that's a great point. Preventative measures are, and just for anybody that's listening and may not know what that means. Preventative measures just means something that you do to take action to prevent something from happening. So it's what Mr. Foster's talking about is what kind of actions or what kind of things can you do to prevent it before it even happens.
Before it happens again. So that's what we're referring to, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Boundaries is one.
Yeah, boundaries is a big one. I think that's the biggest one right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not something like he's saying, Debo everybody out your way. But
you don't want me. Don't talk to me.
Yeah, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Know thyself.
Don't show up to my crib. Don't call me. Well, actually, don't show up to my crib. But don't call me. Don't text me. Don't do nothing. Yeah, it ain't gotta be like that.
Who said that? Was that Socrates? Know thyself? Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were about to say don't show up to my house. Socrates might have said that.
Yeah. Don't show up at my house.
In the famous
you better know
Socrates,
thyself.
Don't show up at my crib.
Because you know me. No, but yeah, so know yourself. Know yourself better. You know yourself better than anybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
You do,
Yeah.
I know myself better than anybody. So
absolutely.
Hey, I'm gonna have to start thinking about myself. Myself talks to myself all the time. My body always says so. When I start to get sick, when I'm like grouchy in the morning, I'm a morning person. I like to get up and annoy everybody in the house. And they know that. So when I cease to do that, you know that, guess what? I'm experiencing some type of burnout some way, or, hey, irritated, like you said.
Yep.
And you start making these gestures at people driving by you because they're like, you just can't take it. It's like living in a bubble and you feel like the next person coming around you is just going to try to pop that bubble. Yeah. You're trying to protect it. That's your body telling you, I can't take no more stimulus.
I can't take no more stress. I can't take no more lack of rest. I can't take this.
So you got to have a Moses moment. Go to the backside of the desert, whatever your backside of the desert is, a man shed, a pool, the gym. Find your backside of the desert, even if it's every day, and dedicate that time to it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Dedicate 15 minutes to it.
Even something as small, and that was another thing. Like I remember one of the guys I used to work with, he had told me, he was like, man, you can work out for 15 minutes a day. And I was like, oh man, I ain't gonna see no result. He was like, that's still 15 more minutes than you would have done. He said, and add it up. He said, add it up in a week, add it up in a month.
He said something important. Results. You said you were looking for results.
I was like, but how am I gonna see how am I gonna see this? How am I gonna do? But like he said, he was like, so are you not gonna do it at all just because you can't do it for 45 minutes or an hour every day? So you're just not gonna do it at all?
What results you talking about?
I'm talking about the physical results.
Wait a second. That's important.
Yes.
We do everything on the physical, right? But we never really do things internal because, so we're trying to lose weight. Why are you trying to lose weight? Oh, because I feel like,
feel like a slob.
But that's on the outside, right? But what about the inside?
Yeah.
So, I mean, hey, heart issues runs in my family. So why can't I work out just for 15 minutes? Because I know that.
Yeah, and you want to try to preventative measures, as you stated.
There we go. Now we're talking. So basic principles for preventative care is understanding that it supersedes the external. It has to go internal first. So for everybody listening, start to figure out things for yourself that helps you feel happy on the inside first. Not happy to everybody else, but happy to you, to your inner, your core, your nucleus.
Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not valuable.
Hey.
You know what I mean? Everything doesn't everything that is valuable doesn't have to be physical. It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be a bag or a check or everything. Sometimes and I told you this, man. I remember one time we were talking. I was like, man, I'm just sitting here playing my video game, watching the basketball game. I'm like, I just feel so at peace, and that is so valuable to me.
Ooh.
And I know now that it has to be an essential part of my week or my day.
Okay.
You know, on my night, whatever it may be, but I have to force it in there. Because like you said one of the most important things. I know me better than me, and who gonna take care of me better than me?
There you go.
You know? And so you have to do those things. A few other things: improving sleep hygiene, improving nutrition, increasing physical activity, as we stated, relaxation, possibly meditation, raising your social supports. And I know that could be hard. Sometimes I know people kind of scoff at going online, but if you know that maybe you are dealing with like social anxiety, maybe you're dealing with something that prevents you. Maybe it's transportation. Online can still be a good start. Okay. There's different communities you can join. And the one beautiful thing about online is that there's literally a group for everything.
Yes, there is.
I was watching a documentary on a group of people that found each other that have obsessions and love they fall in love with inanimate objects. I'm not a part of that group. but there's a group of people clearly but guess what? The internet allowed them to find their people.
Hey, that's all that matters, big dog.
At the end of the day, that's all that matters. Try to find a support group. If you can't find one in person, if you can't find one in your community, yes. I can almost guarantee you there is a group for it. That's right. I don't even have to hear what it is. There's probably a group for it. Find your people. Those are my people. Find your people.
That's right.
A lot of times just being in a group of people that have a similar, it could be a similar issue or a similar obsession or infatuation, whatever. Find your
Dungeons and Dragons. They do that thing. Oh my
man, Lord, listen, they take that joint so seriously, but I respect them so much. Like, I'll never be one of those people that knock them for that, because I'm like, I have my things that how is it any different from us sitting down on a Sunday from 1 to 11 and watching dudes in jerseys throw a ball around and knock each other out? Yeah. We love it.
Yeah.
And I don't expect to be judged for it because it makes me happy.
I don't know, man. I think we should go get some Demon Slayer costumes.
Ooh, boy. That boy Tanjiro. Listen, hey, man, you see my boy Zenetsu at the end of the Infinity? He was locked in.
Yes, boy. He was locked in.
I can't wait. And the movie's finna drop later this year.
Hey, yeah. So, but that's our thing, anime.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll get some costumes. We might, I don't know, we might go do, I forgot the term when they do that. They hit the whole plane.
Nah, but those are some really good ones. Do you have any other
podcasts? We're doing that.
Yeah. And do you have any other suggestions on ways that you can either prevent or deal with it when you have gotten to that point where you experience?
Look at your body as your body holds steam. Your body holds energy. Whenever you do things, this is general, but because I don't want to stay away from the examples, but more or less kind of like giving them an idea of how it looks. We wear a lot of stuff that we physically don't see.
Agreed.
And it's energy.
Yes.
And so literally, we're wearing energy from other people, from other stuff, issues, things that we deal with. Our glasses holds energy. Of course, they get dirty every now and then. To me, that's energy. Yeah. So we got to clean them. Take time to do that. Clothes we're wearing gotta be clean, gotta get that energy off of it. For me, running, running is great. I like to run because it gets all that energy off of me. So if you can kind of find a way to look at it in a way where you're just, I gotta get this stuff off of me, or, I'm way down, or I feel like, if I don't do this, I'm gonna eventually just self-destruct like a robot or something like that. So these are all great analogies of helping yourself to remind yourself and get motivated. Look, I gotta do something. So reading a book.
Yeah. Ooh, I've heard so many, and I know I'm talking like I've never read before, of course, but like I haven't done it in the capacity that you have. I've heard so many people say that just reading is so peaceful and enjoyable for them. And I need to start getting into it, man. I really do. I think a good place to close is also one of the more important things to suggest to you guys is that if you feel like you have already reached that point and it becomes unbearable, I'm about to say unbearable. It becomes unbearable, do not hesitate to reach out for mental health support.
Oh, yeah.
This guy over here getting it. Never be afraid to reach out for mental health support. Like I said, an agency like Foundation to Success, reaching out to a medication management provider, reaching out to an outpatient therapist. Sometimes you may not need medication. Maybe just getting a therapist might be, what you need. You never know. But if you don't know, there's no shame in reaching out to a mental health professional. Like I said, I've talked about it in previous episodes. I've had to do it myself. There's no shame in it. And I also wanted to add that if you get to a point where you do feel like it becomes too much and you feel like it's overwhelming you to the point that you may harm yourself, we do have numbers for that. What is it? 988. But also, like I said, you can look up different mental health providers, online, go on Google, reach out to them. Don't ever hesitate. Like I said, because we want you here. You're important. You're special. And like I said, if you're even listening to this, then to me, I feel like, you got to fight. You got to fight you got fighting. And so there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, please don't hesitate. Leave something in the comment if you want to speak with us, if you just want some advice, reach out. Don't isolate. Talk to people that love you. And like I said, never hesitate to reach out for mental health support.
That's right. That's right. That's an closing. Don't forget also, plan a vacation, a staycation, plan something, get on a plane, get on your bike, do something, get out of the funk, out of the little elements and stuff like that. So if you're in church, hey, dance. If you get a little corny or you like to dance, they start playing that music. Hey, don't even wait for them to play that music. Just do your thing. You know what I'm saying? This is your life. You're taking care of your life. So do what it takes to take care of you. All right. This is a part of demanding from yourself. All right, y'all. This is it, man.
Hey, look, don't forget, comment, subscribe, please share. We had those giveaways. If you didn't hear about our giveaway from last week, please check it out. Like I said, you can follow us. Mr. Foster, I'm so sorry.
I'm preventing burnout. I'm sorry.
Listen, we gonna leave links for y'all in the comments. We appreciate y'all listening. We look forward to talking to y'all. We see y'all next week for Mr. Chris Sapp
and Steve Foster.
We
preventing that burnout. Preventing that burnout.